Welcome Torah Anytime. Welcome to everybody over here. Masechet Shabbos Kuf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. Today's page is Kuf Lamed Aleph, is Kuf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, but we're still here Kuf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis in the bottom. We are discussing the opinion of Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer, the Tana says that one is allowed to be Mechalel Shabbos in order to prepare for Bris Milah. If one has to make the knife, to create the knife of the Milah, to bring the knife from one domain to the other, Rishus L'Rishus, to carry, you're allowed to do that on Shabbos too for the Bris Milah that's taking place on Shabbos if you didn't do it before. And we are learning this year's Leilun Nishmas, my father, Menachem Ben Akiva. Now, we said yesterday that there's a whole group, a whole bunch of halachos. Most of them, in fact, all of them, are mitzvahs shazman groma, time-related mitzvahs. And in each and every one, Rabbi Lezer has another source to tell me that preparing for those mitzvahs that are zman groma, also the preparation pushes away Shabbos. Sukkah, matzah, yeah, v'chulei, lulav, shofar, all of them, the preparation also are important enough to break Shabbos. Says the Gemara, Mila v'kol machshirei adochen et Shabbos, divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Mila, the actual Mila itself, the Beris Milah, and all the machshirim, all the preparations for Mila, they're all doiche Shabbos. And that's what Rabbi Lezer believes, as we knew all along from the Mishnah. The question is, Minale Rabbi Lezer ho? How does Rabbi Lezer know that? How does Rabbi Lezer know you're allowed to prepare for the Milah and break Shabbos for those preparations even on Shabbos? Imikulhu gomar. In other words, let's pick any of the other mitzvahs that we mentioned before: lulav, sukkah, Pesach, v'chulei, Omer. So you want to just compare b'mematzinu from any of those mitzvahs to Milah? That's not going to work. Why? Kede amrinan. As we said before, remember we said yesterday, every mitzvah has its shining star, and Bris Milah doesn't have any of those advantages. We said, for example, lulav is so important, it has daled minim. Daled minim, that justifies Chilul Shabbos. Milah, Bris Milah doesn't have daled. Matzah applies to both men and women. Milah doesn't apply to women. Yeah, v'chule, right? So now we have that mitzvah of Milah, which is kiviyachol not as choshuv, funnily enough, yeah, not as choshuv as the other ones. You can't automatically derive logically by b'memetzinu from those mitzvahs to bris Milah to just assume just like that Milah preparations and machshir break Shabbos. The oid. Another reason to make Milah in a way less, not choshuv, less urgent than the other mitzvahs. Why? Malehanach shekein im over zmono botlo. That's a huge difference. All the mitzvahs we mentioned are Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, Pesach, Shtei Alechem, on Shavuos. If you don't do the mitzvah now, and I mean now, that's it. Mitzvah is gone. Yeah, if you don't have matzah and Leila Seder, Tafshin Pei, I don't know, Corona, you didn't have matzah. That's it. That year, you didn't have matzah. You can't eat matzah like Bomer, right? You can. It's not going to help. Mila, on the other hand, is less urgent. As much as the great mitzvah and much more lechatchila to perform the mitzvah on the eighth day. If it wasn't performed on the eighth day, the person can still do it till the end of his life. How many Russian immigrants do we know that do bris milah at the age of, I don't know, 54? Yeah, and great Mesiras Nefesh, and the mitzvah is still there. So you see that Milah is less urgent, and therefore maybe the whole idea of pushing away Shabbos, because I need to do the mitzvah right now, I have to blow the shofar today, no other day. Therefore, I'm going to break Shabbos because the urgency is what makes us be Michal Shabbos. But Bris Milah, what's the big urgency? Don't have a knife? Wait till tomorrow. You're not going to do the eighth day. Imagine yourself, the baby's yellow, and just do it tomorrow. Ella, therefore, we need another source. Bris Milah, like all other mitzvahs, requires its own source. We need our own source to tell us that Bris Milah, not only the Milah, even the machshirim, the preparations, also there are good enough, important enough to push Shabbos. Hainu Tamid Rabbi Eliezer. That's Rabbi Eliezer reason. The Omer, it says in the pasuk, "Ubayom hashmini yimol b'sar olosai, v'afil b'Shabbos." Instead of saying bashmini on the 8th, it says bayom hashmini. The word bayom indicates bayom whenever the yom is. It has to be on the day. Oh, that's a good way to describe it in English, right? If I tell you this is going to happen in I don't know other on the day, right? What does it mean? On the day. Ta'afilu b'Shabbos, b'yom, yom shmini, b'hukah b'kruk. Even if it's Shabbos, you do it, and it's not talking here about Shabbos, about Milah itself. That we'll discuss later. This is coming to talk about the preparations for Milah. They too break Shabbos.
Amen.
Frag the Gemara, the same question it keeps asking all the time. If you're telling me the Milah is less choshuv than all the other mitzvahs, why can't we write the limud to tell me that Machshir Milah Pul Shabbos, write it in Milah? And there would be a kol shekain, if Milah is in the bottom of the totem pole, then all the others are clearly, they're more choshuv. Of course they push away Shabbos. So why do you need a separate source for each one? Just learn them all for Milah. If little Milah pushes Shabbos, Kol Shekin the others push Shabbos. Answers the Gemara, no, Milah is not little at all. From the Ikal Miflach, one could argue, if you say that, one could argue and answer, Ikal Miflach, Ma le Milah, Shekinichisu ala 13 brisos. Milah is a very choshev thing. Why is Milah choshev? Because when a Kodesh Baruch Hu spoke to Avraham Avinu and told him to perform Beris Milah, and it doesn't repeat itself later. It's only by Avraham Avinu. It says 13 times the word bris. I counted it. Atat brisi tishmor bris, brisoi brisi. The word bris appears 13 times in the parsha of Avraham Avinu. And if the Torah repeats itself so many times and tells us in so many ways that the bris, what's bris? A covenant, right? A very important agreement. What's 13 in Gematria? Ava, love. Yeah, same idea. There's so much love and so much bris connection between us and Hashem. It's super important. It doesn't say 13 times bris about any other mitzvah from those mitzvahs. It says bris about Shabbos and certain mitzvahs, but bris, 13 times does not appear in any of the other mitzvahs that we mentioned in this group. And therefore, Beris Milah, one would say, Milah is Doche Shabbos because it's 13 times love and bris and convent. But when you have something like other mitzvahs, maybe not, maybe they're not so important. That's why each mitzvah needs its own source. Yeah, we can't derive one from the other. Zog the Gemara. Now we're coming to the main deal here.
Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was in the desert with his wife, the Nachash ate him up to here. This is
Continues the Gemara with the two dots. Kufla mit Beis Amud Aleph. Ad kan lo pligi Rabbanon alei ela b'machshir Milah. The only thing Rabbanon argue with Rabbi Eliezer is regarding machshir Milah. Rabbanon, as opposed to Rabbi Eliezer, they believe that you can't prepare the Milah on Shabbos if it involves Chilul Shabbos. Aval Milah Gufa, the Milah itself, the cutting, which involves possibly 3 Surei Torah. Yeah, there are many Surei Torah, Mechlokes Rishonim, but when you create a wound, when you wound a person on Shabbos, it could be dash, it could be shoichet, it could be all kinds of things, tzovea. So Milah itself, with all the Chilul Shabbos involved, Divrakal Doche Shabbos, and we know that's the halacha. Yeah, we follow Rabbanon. You can't prepare the knife on Shabbos or bring it over, but the Milah on Shabbos, as we all know, is done. I said, my own family, we have a bris this Shabbos, yeah, I have a nephew. If so, Minolan, how do they know that? How do Chachamim know that Shabbos pushes away Milah? Maybe the other way around. Dr. Gemara, Omar Ula halacha. Ula tainas that this is halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Enechanami, no source, but halacha Moshe Sinai. Halacha Moshe Sinai that Beris Milah on Shabbos is doiche Shabbos. V'chen Amar Rabbi Yitzchak halacha. Rabbi Yitzchak says also halacha. Meisivi. Now we're going to challenge the fact that Beris Milah is halacha Moshe Sinai to push Shabbos, and it's gonna stay that way. We're gonna stay with the question. What's the question? State minayin lepikuach nefesh shedoiches Shabbos. This is a braysa in the last parak of Yuma. The Gemara in Yuma wants to gives us many different sources. Why is pikuach nefesh derech Shabbos? We're leaving Milah for a minute, and we're talking about pikuach nefesh. How do you know that one is allowed to drive to hospital and, I don't know, make surgery to save a person's life? You need a source for that. So we all know the source v'chai b'hem. That seems to be, as far as I remember, the favorite source of the Gemara there. But apparently there are many sources. Why is pikuach nefesh derech Shabbos? Well, look at this one. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah oimer, ma mila shi'achas me'ivorov shel odom derech Shabbos. If Milah, which is only one organ in a person's body, one limb, one organ, one member, pushes away Shabbos, meaning you do Beris Milah on Shabbos, even though it involves only one aver, kal v'chomer, all the more so, the pikuach nefesh derech Shabbos. Pikuach nefesh, when you have to save the entire person's body, kol sheken it's derech Shabbos. How does that kal v'chomer work? So the Rashba explains as follows, because l'choira we're comparing apples and oranges, right? Because this is a mitzvah and this is life. This is something medical. So the Ritva and the Rashba says it's actually clearer. The Rashba says no. What's the halachic hashkafic reason you really are supposed? What's behind the idea of pikuach nefesh derech Shabbos? The Gemara says in Maseches Shabbos, as far as I remember, Daf Lamed, it says around Lamed. It says there, mutav shetechal lulav Shabbos achas veikayim Shabbos esarbe. Assuming the person is Shomer Shabbos or potentially Shomer Shabbos, you never know. Break one Shabbos to call the Chat V'Shalom, yeah, if it shouldn't happen, yeah. They call the ambulance, they do the surgery, they write the things by the doctor. Why? Break one Shabbos for him, so later on he'll be able to keep many Shabbosos. So pikuach nefesh is also ruchni. So Mimela, now there's a comparison. Just like Beris Milah, you're allowed to perform a mitzvah on one organ. Yeah, we don't push away. Kol shekain, the entire body to be mekayim mitzvahs. So you should be able to mekayim mitzvahs. You break Shabbos, so there will be mitzvahs being performed with each and every part of his body. Very nice. Why is that a problem? So far, so good. Now comes the punchline. The isal kedata halacha. If you're telling me now, what did we derive from here? One thing we have to remember: that Beris Milah derech Shabbos served as what I call a basis for kal v'chomer. In other words, that item, that idea, Beris Milah derech Shabbos, is a kal v'chomer, kal v'chomer to tell me something else. That doesn't work with halacha l'mishim Sinai. Let's see what the Gemara says. This al kedata halacha. If you want to tell me it's halacha l'mishim Sinai, then kal v'chomer ma'alocha mi osi. Oh, here comes trouble. Kal v'chomer cannot be built on top of halacha l'mishim Sinai. This is something very interesting. Rashi says, as we're going to see now, as they say in the Israeli supermarkets, lahavdil, ein kefel mivtzaim. Let's say you have one special offer in the supermarket, another special offer, you don't combine them both. Yeah, maybe in America you do. In other words, you have 50% on this, and also anybody who buys on Wednesday gets a thing. No, you don't combine lahavdil. So too, when the Torah is telling you something completely not mefurish, it's halacha l'mishim Sinai, you don't build on top of that another be'al peh concept of gimel midah such as kal v'chomer. That's too much already. In other words, so if you're telling me that the source for Beris Milah derech Shabbos is halacha l'mishim Sinai, it wouldn't have been a good basis for kal v'chomer. It's just too weak. And the Gemara is going to prove it from a whole different part of halacha. Tanya. Let's see now what the Gemara says. Yeah, we're going to bring now a case that proves that kal v'chomer cannot be built upon halacha l'mishim Sinai. Let's see. Before we continue, a small introduction. We all know what are the three things that Nazir cannot do. One of the things Nazir cannot do is be in contact with the dead. And if he does, boom, he flunked, the whole thing falls apart. Now he has to do the whole process and start the counting again after he brought the korbanos. Now, when I say contact with the dead, what does that mean exactly? Like when I'm thinking about what's contact with the dead. So this is the issue over here. Rabbi Akiva apparently wants to say, Rabbi Akiva says that even if the Nazir comes in contact, There's a shayla, even being in the same tent, same ohel, and touching it, even with revis dam. One revis, yeah, revis dam of a mace is metamet, generally speaking. Let's say Nozir was in contact with revis dam, then according to Rabbi Akiva, poof, that breaks his nazirus, that completely annuls the nazirus. How does Rabbi Akiva know that? He says kol v'chomer. Why? Etzem keseoiro, yeah. Etzem keseoiro. Let's say there's an etzem, a bone, the size of a barley grain. Of a mace, it's metame. If you touch it, it's metame. However, be'oihel, it's not metame. Let's say there's a small barley grain size etzem bone from the mace in a tent, in a house, indoors, and another person is there, they don't become tummy. For a skeleton, it has to be the majority of the skeleton to be metamim be'oil. Aha, says Rabbi Akiva. If etzem kiseoiro is metame, not metame be'oil, but is metame the nozir, causes the nozir to break, a revis dam in an oil is metame. Yeah, there's an oil, a hospital, can happen all the time. There's a revis dam from a dead person after a bad surgery, chas v'shalom. And then what happens? Yeah, it's metame be'oil. Kol sheken, it's metame benozir. Comes Rabbi Lezer to say, Rabbi Akiva, you're wrong. Now see what the Gemara says. Omer Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar told him, Akiva, he's addressing Rabbi Akiva. Etzem kisor metame halacha. Your kal v'chomer is faulty because you're building your kal v'chomer in an etzem kisor barley-sized etzem metame. That's halacha mishmesinai. It's not something written in the Torah. V'viz dam kal v'chomer. You want to tell me that Raviz dam is built upon that as a kal v'chomer? The end and kal v'chomer ma'alocha. Kal v'chomer cannot be derived, cannot be built upon halacha. Halacha l'shemsin is not strong enough to have on top of that piggybacking kal v'chomer. So therefore, now let's get back to us to Beris Milah. You, Ula, and Rabbi Yitzchak, you're telling me halacha l'shemsinai is Beris Milah pushing away Shabbos. That cannot be, because that did serve as the source of kal v'chomer pikuach nefesh. So must be it's not from halacha l'shemsinai. We reject that. We're looking now for a new source. What are we looking for? Simple source. How do you know that this Shabbos in Yerushalayim, my niece's son is going to have Beris Milah on Shabbos? Who says that's allowed? You can't say halacha l'shemsinai, it just ain't working. Elo Rabbi Asya ois. Says Rabbi Elazar, no. There is a very shene, what? Gzera Shova. Although that Gzera Shova is different to other Gzera Shovas, the Gzera Shova is ois. What's an ois in English? Very good, a sign. So let's say it says a sign, an ois in Beris Milah, and it says, what? Take. Ois Beris Milah. And ois, it says the word ois regarding Shabbos, oisi beini beinechem, right? Yeah, so therefore, usually Gzera Shova means that both halachas are friendly with each other. We learn one from the other, the same details. Here it's the other way around. Here it's a war. In other words, here it's Shabbos pushes away Milah, or Milah pushes away Shabbos, and we decided Milah pushes away Shabbos. Yeah, in other words, ois, says the Ritva, it makes more sense to say that Milah pushes Shabbos. Why? Because to tell me that Shabbos pushes Milah is not the Chiddush. Genius. Most mitzvahs in Aval V'chilol Shabbos you can't do on Shabbos. Can give tzedakah on Shabbos money to a guy who's real poor? No. What will you do? I don't know. Can you give him bread, mashus, lashus? No. So you don't have to tell me, Shabbos pushes away Milah. Of course it does. It's not a Chiddush. And if we still see there's a Gzera Shova, must be the other way around. It must be a Chiddush. The Chiddush must be that Milah pushes away Shabbos. Amen. Ela me'ato. Frag the Gemara, are you telling me ois is Gzera Shova? And that tells me that Milah pushes Shabbos? If you work with that logic, look what's going to happen. Tefillin. Shabbos is not the only game in town, neither is Milah. There are other mitzvahs when the word ois is written. Tefillin. The chsiv b'en ois. It says ois about tefillin, obviously, we all know. Litchi Shabbos. Let's say a person wants to make tefillin or write tefillin on Shabbos. Maybe that should push away Shabbos. By the way, I'm pointing that because wearing tefillin on Shabbos The Issa is only the Rabbanon. The tefillin is muktzah, not the Oraisa. Or even to walk out to the street with tefillin on Shabbos is okay. Before Shemor not okay. It's not an Issa the Oraisa, and we're the Oraisa here. But preparing the tefillin on Shabbos, maybe that should be fine. Maybe you can write my tefillin on Shabbos. Make the boxes. Yeah, maybe. Because why? It says ois. You tell me ois means ois Shabbos. You push away Shabbos. Ois. Like in Yiddish. Ela Asya must be this Gzer Shova is not a good Gzer Shova. Rashi points out Gzer Shovas are up to debate. You only have Gzer Shova if you learn it from your Rov. So maybe this Gzer Shova wasn't said in our Sinai, maybe another one. What's the other one? Bris. Okay. We found another common word for Milah in Shabbos, not shared by Tefillin, exclusive. Only Bris and Shabbos have the word Bris, and therefore Milah pushes Shabbos. Frag the Gemara, Godoil, the Chsiv bei Bris Lidchi Shabbos. There are two separate mitzvahs, so to speak, in Bris Milah. There is Bris Milah for a baby who's 8 days old, yeah, or up until Bar Mitzvah, it's the father's achrayas. What happens, as it sometimes does, if a Baal Tshuva discovers that he's not properly gemalid, yeah, or all these people. So then what do? Not a ger, not about a ger. I'm talking about a regular guy. So then there is the milah of Godol. The Godol has his achrayas on himself to have bris milah done to himself. How do we know? It says chorus. A baby doesn't get chorus. It's cruel. It's crazy. Yeah, who gets chorus for not doing milah for himself? A Godol. Now, Frank the Gemara, wait a second. It says bris regarding a bris of a Godol. The word bris is written there. If so, the bris of a Godel should push away Shabbos. Imagine yourself a Godel. The guy's 56 years old. He came from Russia. He realizes he's Jewish, very Mazel Tov, and now he wants to do Milah. Would you push Shabbos for that Milah? No. You don't push away Shabbos for Milah of a Godel, but Shumoifen. But according to you, the bris is a reason to push away Shabbos. So bris of a Godel, meaning of an adult, should push away Shabbos. Must be bris is not it. Ella. So we're looking for another source. Asya doirois. Okay, here comes another term that appears supposedly only in Shabbos in Milah, and not by Bris Godol, not by Tefillin, doirois. Yeah, we all say twice a day, right? Right? By tzitzis, it says the word doirois. Very good. And it says about Milah, doirois, generations. Oh, Mazel Tov. Yeah, in other words, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Milah now. I got confused about it. That's a question. Sorry, excuse me. Rewind. No. I'm sorry. It says Doris in Milah and Doris in Shabbos. Oh, Shabbos and Milah. Milah pushes away Shabbos. Doris versus Doris. Break the Gemara, wrong. As I said before, sorry. Tzitzis dechtiv b'Doros leitchi Shabbos. If you tell me Doris pushes away Shabbos, great. Then Tzitzis would jump on the bandwagon. Because Tzitzis too, it says over there, Tzitzis. And it should push away Shabbos. In other words, let's say I want to tie my tzitzis. I want to make my tzitzit to Shabbos. I'm over tying maki bepatish, toive, whatever. Let's do it. Well, apparently no. According to Chachamim, and even according to Rabbi Lezer, tzitzis doesn't push away Shabbos. Ella, here comes the final truth. Ella Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Therefore, says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, what was the problem of each and every word? Each and every word, ois, bris, doiros, was always shared by one more mitzvah. But Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak is doing something genius now. Look what he does. Donin, we learn ois, bris, vedoiros. Get it? Me ois, bris, vedoiros. Lapuki hanach dechad chadu dechsiv bahen. Which means, it's true. If you only learn doiros, it's tzitzis. Bris is godol. Ois is tefillin. But which are the only mitzvahs in the entire Tanakh, in the entire Torah mitzvahs, you only have two mitzvahs that share all three words together. Ois bris doiros here, and ois bris doiros here. Boom. So the only real shidduch is between Milah and Shabbos. It's not a shidduch, it's a war. Milah pushes away Shabbos. Ois bris doiros versus ois bris doiros. Milah is done on the expense, so to speak, of Shabbos. So that's answer number one. Okay, so answer number one is what? So this is Rabbi. So that is Ois Bris V'Doros. That's what Rabbi Lozel says. Now, okay, very nice. Rabbi Yochanan offers a different answer, a different source. For what? We're looking for a source For how do you know that Beris pushes away Doiche Shabbos? Amar Kro Bayai. It says in Milah itself, in the mitzvah Bris Milah, it says Bayoim Afilu b'Shabbos. We learned it before. Reb Lezer learned it for the Machshirim. We're not in Reb Lezer now, by the way, guys. We're now in Chachomim. Yeah? Chachomim are learning that the word Bayoim is teaching me not Machshirim, not Shmachshirim. It teaches me Milah. Bayoim, on the day, not before, not after. Even b'Shabbos. Very nice. Rish Lakish is now challenging his brother-in-law in Chavuse. He's asking as follows: Ela me'ata, according to what you're saying, look what's going to happen. Mechusare kaporo, dechtiv behu bayoim, achinam ededochu Shabbos. Let me explain. There are four types of people that, if they're tomei, four types of tmeim, that for them it's not enough to go to the mikveh. It's not enough to wait some time, although they all have to. In order to be completely pure and be able to come to Beis Hamikdash and bring korbanos, they have to bring a korban. Zav, Zava, Yoledes, and Metzora. Yeah, Zazim. Zav, Yoledes, and Metzora, they have to call Mechusore Kaporo, the lacking Kaporo, a korban. Yeah, it's not enough to just go to the mikveh or whatever. The Metzora does billions of other things, but now they also have to bring a korban. And you know what? It says by them, Bayoim. By all four, it says Bayoim. That they have to bring the korban in the day. Are you going to tell me that Bayoim also means you push away Shabbos? Let's say, by the way, it's also a little bit time bound. Let's say Yoledis. Yoledis, when does she bring the korban? The 41st day? Yeah. She had 40 or 41st, I think. No, Yoledis. She had a baby boy. She has to wait 40 days. I think 40 full days, if I'm not mistaken. In the 41st day, in the morning, she brings the korban. I don't know when she gave birth, so you don't plan these things. And maybe her 41st day is what is really Shabbos. And it says Bayoim. Well, if so, the day should mean what? Shabbos. So are you telling me that she will actually bring her korban on Shabbos? We never found such a thing. You never have personal korbanos on Shabbos. You know that. The only korbanos brought in Beis Hamikdash are public korbanos. Oilos of Musafim, and obviously the Tomid, Lechem Aponim, the Ktoris, but I mean the Levoino, the Bzich Levoino. But if you're learning Bayoim means push away Shabbos, then those people are Tomeh, these main, should push away Shabbos too and bring the korban on Shabbos. Loi Matzino Dovel Kazeh, how come not? Zog the Gemara, no. Who? That Bayoim? No, you need it for something else. The reason why it says Bayoim regarding those Tmeim that have to bring Korban, it means they bring the Korban by day and they don't bring it by night. That's the Chiddush. They don't bring the Korban by night, that's what it says Bayoim. Let's ping pong around. Are you telling me Bayoim means day and not night? Well, maybe it's the same thing by Beris Milah. Hainami, by Milah also, mi Baila Bayom Velo Balayla. Last time I checked, there's no bris by night, only by day. Maybe that's the source. Just like there by Korbanos, you tell me Yom means Yom and not night. So to by Milah, it should mean day and not night, and should not mean yes Shabbos. Yom always means either Yom even on Shabbos, or Yom not night. How do you know that Bris Milah means day and even on Shabbos? Maybe means day and not night, but not on Shabbos. Dog Digmar, no. Hahu, it's true. You're right that Milah is day by not night, but that is another source. It says by Beris Milah, again the word Yomim. It says Mi ben Shmonas Yomim, and from there Nafka. Very nice. In other words, since it says at least twice in Beris Milah the term day, one time it says Bayoim, and once it says Shmonas Yomim, days. Very nice. So Yom means Yom even on Shabbos. Yomim means Yomim v'lo leilos. Don't do Bris Milah by night. So since it says twice Yom, one for yes on Shabbos, and the other one is not by night. Very nice. What about the Tmeim? Like the Gemara, you think you win the war of Milah against the Tmeim? Nami. By the Tmeim also it says Mi beyoim tzavos nafka, which means okay. Yom tzavos means as follows. As I told you yesterday, there's a general word, general term, general halacha in all of korbanos. Korbanos are never brought by night, only left over of a korban. Korban never starts. Yeah, it's processed by day, by night, only by day. How do you know that? It says beyoim tzavoso inafka. So, in other words, Why do you need a special pasuk about these four, excuse me, saying so, miskenim, those four people, the Zav, Zav, Eled, and Torah? Hey, don't bring the korban by night. What do you mean? Nobody brings the korban by night. There's a general rule for all korbanos, billions of korbanos, all over all over Torah, b'yom tzavos nafka. So here too it's redundant, right? Right? So by the Zav, Zav, v'chula, b'chusur kapara, it says Yom Tzavase, which means what? Yom Tzavase will teach me day and not night, and the Yom should teach me something extra, that they bring the Korban by Shabbos even, and that's not true. Just like Bamila, it says twice Yom, one to tell me not by night, and one to tell me even on Shabbos. You guess what? By the Mechusar Kaporo, there's a general rule Yom, not Laila, so this Yom is free to tell me day and even on Shabbos. So why don't they bring the korban on Shabbos? Dog the Gemara, no. Afal gav the naftami b'yom tzavosoi. Although it's true that we have a general rule all over korbanos, yom tzavoisoi, the day you command to exclude the night, still we did a special pasuk by them to tell me that b'mechusoi kapara also it's only day, not by night. Why? Why do you need a special pasuk just for them? It's tricha. Why? Stal kadat achmina. I would have thought, oil v'chas rechmon alei latui bedalus, belayla nami leisi kamash malan. Let me explain. There is a common denominator between all these korbanos. These korbanos, as opposed to other korbanos, are not just there to atone or give thanks. These korbanos are functional. You need those korbanos to continue with life. So you'll be able to come to Beis HaMikdash, which everyone has to do. So we see that the Torah was chas. The Torah was merciful. The Torah was considerative. And the Torah says, they can bring also dalus, which means if the yoledes or matzorah of yoledes, for example, she can't bring a bird and a behema, she brings two birds, much cheaper. Those that they're sliding scale, like the chadorim in America, right? Yeah. In other words, if you can't pay full tuition, you pay half, right? So too by the korbanos, also you can't afford the bigger, nicer korban, you can bring a smaller, cheaper one, which means the Torah is coming towards those people. Havamina belayla namilesi. Maybe they should also bring it by night. Let's say that lady, 40 days after her birth, she's postpartum, she's crazy, she has kids at home. She happens to come to Yerushalayim now. Let her give the korban now by night. Be more flexible with her, yeah? Or the Mitzvah has been through Gehenna already. Maybe let him bring the korban by night, because we see we're being more lenient with them. KML, Kamash Malan, meaning what? Let's not close the circuit over here, which means really, there's no source to tell me that Yom is Yom even on Shabbos. You need two psukim to tell me Yom. It works a bit different to Milah. There's a general pasuk about all korbanos, whichever korban you want, yeah? All of them, day, not night, Yom Tzavosai. I would still be smart and ask, wait, when the Torah says only day, does the Torah even mean those four miskenim, which we see the Torah as being lenient with them and flexible? Maybe by them, the special dispensation they can also bring by night. Says the Torah again, Yom. But the Yom is just to stress that they cannot bring it by night. As much as we love them and care about them, they can bring it by night, only by day. But therefore, we don't have the word Yom extra to tell me Yom even on Shabbos. That's why they cannot bring it on Shabbos, those Tmeim. One more line, and then we finish. Maskif Ravina asks Ravina, wait a second. If you really have a minute to say that those people, there's so much flexibility with them, but the Mechatzur Kaporo, Zav, Eledis, Mestzoro, Elamato, yes, Zar, Kosher Behen, Via Oinen, Kosher Behen. We know that a Zar, a non-Kohen, cannot do the Avodah. And an Oinen, a Kohen that's who lost a relative and the relative wasn't yet buried, he can't work in Beis Hamikdash. But if you tell me you're so flexible with them, with those people, maybe you should go as far as to say that even if the chap is zar, a regular guy, he can do the avodah for them, or maybe an oinen kohen can do the avodah for them, because you're telling me really we're being nice and merciful and flexible. Only there's a special halacha, do it by day, not by night. But maybe other areas of halacha you can be flexible. Dog the Gemara, no, which means when the Torah said by Yom, it's not telling me we're flexible with them but they have to bring the korban b'dain. The fact they have to bring the korban b'dain means that they're just like a hadri. They got back to the normal status of all other people. There's no more dispensations, no kulas about them. Only one kula. They can bring a cheaper korban. No other kulas apply to them. Shkoyach, thank you very much. Atzlocho, Vrocho, Ravacha Bar Yaakov. Tomorrow there is no shir. Rabbeinu, my neighbor. Tomorrow I cannot. I apologize. Tomorrow, no. Motzei Shabbos, yes. Okay? That usually, like, I'm always, my weekends are not so planned. Shabbos you can't? Yeah? What? Let's hope. Zoom, whatever. I'm saying this all to people on Torah anytime. Don't look us up tomorrow, Thursday, but hopefully Motzei Shabbos. Okay, thank you, Atzlocho Brocha. Thank you very, very much for coming. Kiskol mitzvahs. Thank you to Torah Anytime and to our YouTube channel viewers.